in the house? If you know of mold in the house, that's...
No, but I'm in there for that very reason.
Looks like somebody started stealing the copper. You notice the electrical breakers have been taken out of the panel. All that rotting up in the wall is obviously an issue. Most of that looks like probably water damage. I don't know if there's termites up in there as well, but with it being that close to the window and everything else, it's a lot of water damage. But if you find the right buyer, I don't see this being an investor property as far as like something an investor would want to do. But if you, since you got it so cheap and it being the area it's in, an owner-occupied cash buyer with this property wouldn't be something I would be completely against thinking about. Pier and beam, obviously, but I'm trying to feel how soft the floor is to see. Obviously, you're not going to be able to tell unless you actually go up under the house, but you want to see if it feels real soft walking around. You know, if the subfloor is fairly solid and everything else, I'm not too incredibly scared about. Oh, now that's bad. Oh, that got worse. Yeah, that got worse.
She's not sure because the lady ghosted. Yeah, this one's.
This is where it got bad.
This is the.
Everything was doing good until I got about here. But this is an addition. This is not original. So like, I come back through here, the sheetrock's fell through, but like you come back through here and you look up here, you can see the eaves from the original house where that white is coming off, and then somebody just tagged all this on, extending it out. So, is this the only room that's like this as far as the condition goes?
Yeah. The kitchen's through that door over there.
Kitchen's through the door over there. We got a bedroom over here. We got a bathroom over here. Wonder what's up with that as far as what the original design of the house was, because this room is not original to the home.
Yeah, but that's the only bathroom right there. So
Yeah, I know. So I was wondering how.
If it was like a walk outside or maybe.
I wonder if there was a door going into that bedroom right there. I don't know. We'll have to play around. This room is obviously jacked up, but if this is the only room like that, this being an addition, it might not be that big of a deal to just knock it down. Good times. I've seen far worse. Man, I went to one house over in Mesquite one time that you had to crawl through it.
Crawl through it.
Because the trash was about yay high. So you had to kind of squat and walk.
Wow.
You had about a foot and a half I'd say about a foot and a half to 3 foot, depending upon where you were at in the house to actually get through it.
Little border tunnels.
Yeah, it was bad. Kitchen. House definitely has some problems. If I remember right, last time we looked up the values, retail in this area was around 100 to 120.
Yeah, that's probably on the low end. But I picked the low end because of obvious reasons.
Okay, watch your steps. Alright, it's gonna take me a second to hop down. Alright. Just looking around, seeing what all's going on. How deep is the lot?
I don't know.
That tree's seen better days. You see the roots pulling up out of it and everything?
Oh my god.
I think there's a wild exotic animal hidden back there somewhere.
Was it?
There's all kinds of animals moving around back there.
Is there life back there?
There's all kinds of stuff moving. I think I saw a wild cat. Like a tiger or something. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's a gem or anything like that, but I do think that with the price point and where you're at over here, that selling it for more than what you got into it would as is probably be the better option than bulldozing it. In worst case scenario, if you just had somebody come in and clear all the trash out and knock down some of the stuff around the house so they could walk around and clear the inside of it out, list it on the MLS and start throwing bandit signs, you know, cash price, cash purchase, write them in English and Spanish. And even if you just gave that a month, you'd be able to really quickly find out what's going on. And I really think you'd probably be in a better position than just
bulldozing it.
If you gave it a month or two on the market to see what the market's feelings towards the property were, you're not having to hurry to find a buyer. You own the asset. You're not really worried about, oh, I've got 4 days to sell this.
Right,
you know,
yeah, the holding costs are negligible taxes.
Really.
You know?
So I mean, I would honestly just start out with coming in, having somebody pull back some of the brush through here, and then clear the trash out of the inside of the house, because the trash gives it an unnecessary negative appeal to a house that's already in a bad condition.
Right, yeah.
But you pull the stuff out, throw it on the MLS, and then throw a bunch of bandit signs around, and I'd say give it a month and a half. And if a month and a half, 2 months, you're not seeing any appeal pickup off of it, then turn around and bulldoze it. But I still wouldn't bulldoze it.
To give it a chance, put it out on, you know, on the market. I wouldn't have thought MLS. Like,
you can go out there, you can drop bandit signs in English and in Spanish. I don't think I'd bulldoze it. I mean, let the market tell you what they're willing to pay for it as is. Because if somebody wanted to build on the lot, you could always advertise it through the MLS as, you know, potential new build, market it however you want to, and then let the new buyer decide whether or not they want to bulldoze it. If there's going to be an expense to bulldoze and it's $7,000-8,000, the new buyer will take that into consideration with their expense. That'll save you from being the ones that have to do it. And it still leaves you open to a retail buyer, which I know that the house is in shitty condition, but when we start looking at, like I just said, the demographics of the neighborhood, you're going to have a culture of people that truly look to own without using any financing whatsoever. They've saved up all of their own money, and they'll come in here and they'll look at it and be like, yeah, it's in bad condition, but I'm only paying, you know, $40,000, $50,000 for it. And then whenever they figure that out, they figure they can spend the next year and a half fixing it up on their own, and they can own the house instead of financing it, and it'd be exactly what they wanted in an area of town that they want to be in. Like if you look at this, then you go into, like in this area, you've got Northside. Northside sells for about 30 to 50 grand last time I was looking at it. But if at 30 to 50 grand, Northside's not the best neighborhood. You've got Riverside, Diamond Hill, all of this at the price point that this is at. But they could buy this and not be in Riverside, Diamond Hill, or Northside, come over here, purchase this, and be in a neighborhood they want to be in for the same price that they'd have to be in those other neighborhoods, and be in a neighborhood they want to be in. I'd look at marketing it in a different way.
Yeah.
But you can throw it on the MLS and throw bandit signs. And if you still feel like you're wanting to bulldoze it in a couple months, let the new buyer bulldoze it if it needs to be bulldozed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
They're going to know what it costs them to bulldoze it.
They'll put that in with their offer.
Really, I don't want to keep saying this again and again, but outside of that one room back there, this ain't that bad. You got any questions, any thoughts?
It's the walls, like the holes through the walls. Like that's because there's there in the bedroom too.
All right, well, let's start looking at costs. All right, that's like a Dutch lap siding. We look at that. Let's say each one of those boards is $11.
Okay.
Brand new. And we got the entire front of this house. Let's just say, at best, $1,500 for materials. If we're looking at like $1,500 for materials plus labor, I'm not going to sit here and throw quotes on that, but you get the right person in here, the right company in here, they'll come in here and they'll just rip off the front of it and put on whatever they want to. Lumber's not expensive. Labor, the person that I'm looking at that's likely going to buy this is going to provide their own labor. So if they're providing their own labor, they'll come in here, they'll purchase the material for $1,000, $1,500, spend a weekend working on it, and they're done. This isn't going to be a flipper that's buying this. This isn't going to be a rehabber that's coming in buying this. This is going to be a family of people that want to own a home at a price point that they can afford in a neighborhood that they want to live. So if you think about it as a weekend project, they'll come in here, rip the front of this house off, them, their brothers, uncles, cousins, sisters, and they'll just rip the front of the house off, reframe it, throw it back together in a weekend, and the whole front of the house is brand new again. When you understand construction and you and your entire family work in construction, this is not scary to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
It's not.
potential.
It's just another day at work.
Yeah.
You know, because they've done this their entire life. It's like, okay, I'll just strip all that siding off, reframe the interior timbers, throw the siding back on, and you're good to go. Like, obviously there's problems with the homes, but they're not worried about the work. They just want the land and the area that they can have and something to start with. I'd feel pretty solid if you went out there and dropped signs in English and Spanish, cash home or dueño y dueño, either way around. That selling it for the bottom side of 40 is not impossible.
Yeah.
Just my 2 cents. And then on the inside, the biggest problem on the inside is that room back there. But that room would have to be just completely and totally bulldozed. And then start over again with that one. I'd get somebody to come in here with a dumpster. Dumpster costs $600. Drop a dumpster in the front yard and have a crew of people come in and just clear it out. Probably costs a couple $1,000 to just clear everything out of it.
What were you saying about the electrical? Oh,
Somebody started stealing it.
That actually looks.
Yeah.
I think in the video I took a couple months ago, that was more put together than it was like that. That's definitely recent. That's great.
So somebody's been coming in. So with that to take into consideration, if they got motivated, they probably went up in the attic and took everything out of the attic too. Because I didn't see anything else in here. And I don't know if the copper underneath the sinks and stuff has been stolen. Unlikely they made it to the sink considering all the trash in front of it. Let me go look at the bathroom real quick. Looks like the copper's still on that, so it may not be too much. Yeah, all the copper's still in all that. So, not too bad. It's obviously not a beautiful house, but there's always the right buyer for the right house at the right price. This is 100% demo. There's nothing going to be done to fix all this. Like I said, you get the right family in here, you get the right people in here, they'll spend a week and completely rebuild that. That's my thoughts on it. If you got any other questions, I'll be willing to answer them for you. I know I keep saying this, but it ain't that bad. I've seen some bad houses, man. I have seen some really bad houses.
Worse than this?
Oh yeah, by far. I remember I got one similar to this in South Dallas. You know where Trinity goes, right there, kind of
by the bridge? Like you go over the bridge?
Yeah, you go over the bridge and the Trinity's there.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
got 35.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little area down there right off the Trinity, man. It's a bad little neighborhood. But it was a similar house to this, except for the roof was completely gone. Like the roof was like, you could just walk in and look straight up to the sky all over the place. All of the copper had been stolen. The foundation was jacked. There was nothing good about the house. The entire house needed to be completely rebuilt. Like this, that wall needs to be rebuilt. That back area needs to be rebuilt. But there's a lot of this that could still be salvaged. That house, nothing could be salvaged on. And even in the neighborhood with the retail value at the time that I remember of about 55 to 60,000 completely fixed up, somebody bought that house for 20 grand. So if you think about that, why did they pay 20 grand for that house that needed all that work? It's because they had the cash to buy it, and they weren't afraid to fix it themselves, and they wanted something they could own because they didn't want to be tied to a bank. They didn't want to be tied to a loan or anything else like that. They wanted to own something. It's a wood exterior, or it's a wood siding.
Oh, sorry.
The siding out here is wood. It'd take maybe 2 hours to come out here and strip all that siding off. And then once you strip the siding off, all of the lumber's there and exposed. You're to replace the lumber or scab it, you're gonna have to fix the drywall on the inside, but that's not scary work for many people that be looking at buying this. It's not like, oh no, what is that gonna do or how much is that gonna cost? It's more of a question of how much time is it gonna take me to fix it. It's not looking at, okay, I'm gonna have to hire a contractor and they're gonna charge me $12,000 to fix this. Their thoughts are, it's gonna cost me $1,500 in material and I can get it done in a weekend. That's the way they're going to look at it. They're not looking at it from like a rehabber standpoint.
The roof in the back being collapsed in, does that give any kind of prediction as to the shape of the rest of the roof?
I'm leaning towards the reason that fell down was because the roof wasn't put on properly. It started leaking. The leaking caused a bunch of rotting, and it was an addition. That wasn't original to the home, and I don't think whoever built it right. And just over time, all that water penetrating caused it all to rot out and fall down. When you got wet wood, though, it attracts termites. And so if there's probable termites up here in this front wall, then and there's probably termites back there in that back as well. It's going to be a matter of just opening everything up and seeing how much of it's been affected. But this isn't a remodel. This isn't something that a rehabber is going to come in and try and rehab. Right. If this was an investor, like y'all were talking about, yeah, it's going to be a new construction project. But with the retail value around here, I don't remember looking at the comps. We can pull up the comps here in just a second. But with the retail value over here being no more than, let's say, 140, 150, it starts getting a little tighter on the numbers.
Yeah, I had a couple investors look at it, and they like 10 grand maybe is what they'd give me for it, and that's almost less than the land value if it's scraped. So that's because it's not investable.
But once you take into consideration, yeah, so that's where you're looking at. So like right now with the current acquisition price, y'all got it at 27. To scrape it, I'm looking at probably 7. I don't know if you've gotten quotes in yet, but
yeah, like 7 or 8.
Yeah, so if we're looking at 7, now you're into it for 35. You're not going to get 35 for the land.
Right.
You're not going to get 35 for the land.
I think land comps are like 14, 15. Yeah. So
if we're looking at that, scraping it is going to A, cost you more money, and B, completely ruin any chance of you finding a retail buyer that's willing to fix it themselves. So scraping it is not what I would consider needs to be done on this property. I would do an initial trash out, clear everything you possibly can out of it, pull back some of the trees, like cut that little thing down that's covering up the front of the house. I'm not saying landscape it, but just make it to where the house can be seen, make it to where you can get around the house, and then start massively marketing through bandit signs, Craigslist, Facebook ads in English and in Spanish, and just saying cash house, fixer upper, come in and do whatever, and then just start taking offers. And you could always do a combination of a few things. You could either do owner financing on it, since you do own it free and clear, turn around, sell it on a note and be the bank, or B, turn around and sell it for cash. I really think you could probably pull 40 on it cash.
Yeah.
That sounds outrageous, but I really think you could. It's been a while since I've been on this market, and I've tried moving into wholesale, but I don't think that's abnormal.
The wholesale, like I think it was you and TJ told me basically the same thing. Once you found it was free and clear, it was like, well, it's just put it on the MLS. Someone will get it for more than you paid. So.
Your options are almost infinitely increased at the point in time that you take it down. Where you're going to run into problems as a wholesaler that's trying to do assignments of contracts and real fast double closes is that you are at the mercy of your contract. You only have X amount of time to get in and out of that property, whereas if you take it down, you have full control, and through taking it down and taking full control of the property, you're opening up all your options for retail. Like, you can take it directly to the MLS, let the largest pool of buyers see it. You can take it and market it creatively. You can go in there and you start doing some owner financing structures. There's more options that open themselves up at the point in time you take it down. You can get a lot more time, which gives you more flexibility in what you do. I don't think you're in a bad position, but I wouldn't want to put any more money into it, right, other than just...
Well, because bulldozing it is putting more money into it.
And then you're bulldozing it, making it land, and land comps say it's only worth 15.
Yeah.
So if it's only worth 15 and you're into it for 27, you put another 7 into it. Let's say you're all into it by the time you're done with 40-ish.
Yeah.
You're never going to get 40 for the land, ever. Whereas you might get 40 for the house as it is. Opinions are just like everything else.
Is that?
I said opinions are just like everything else, but I don't think bulldozing it's going to do you good at all. I think it's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
I would just come in here, get this front porch cleaned off, get all the tires out from around here, get some of these bushes pulled back off the front of the house, make it to where you can walk around the back, and then just get a dumpster, drop it in the front yard, and get 5 people over here on a weekend and just unload the house. That's what I'd do. The reason, like when I first got started doing wholesaling, for the most part, I was a rehabber before I started wholesaling, so I kind of went the evolution a different direction. But I started off rehabbing, and then whenever I first started into to wholesaling, there was a local guy here, company, Wholesale Complete, ran by John Susi. And with John Susi, working with him, he was like, I was always going in after these properties at like 70 cents on the dollar, going in and doing that. And he started changing up my acquisition model on low-end homes, because I'm not going to find a remodeler or something that's going to buy this. It's going to be either a landlord or an owner occupant. And he really started teaching me a different way of analyzing deals when you start coming into low income low-income neighborhoods. And it's just that mattress money. You're going to find these people that have the culture of, I'm going to save up every dime I make, and I'm going to end up with, $70,000 sitting underneath my mattress in 10 years. And at 10 years, they want to own a piece of America. Right. And if they can afford it, they've got 70 grand saved up, they'll look at this and be like, well, I'm not going to pay 70 for this, but I'll give you 40 and I'll use the remaining 30 to fix it up. And they'll come over here on nights and weekends when they're not working, and they will absolutely fix this up. So when he showed me that, I was losing a lot of opportunity prior to then, because I'd show up to a house like this and like I'd offer 5-10 grand for it.
Right.
Well, you're not going to make that happen, especially when someone just paid 27 for it. But if I can come in here and figure out a way to create value where other people aren't seeing it, then that's where you can really start changing up how you are wholesaling. Because wholesaling, when we're taught, we're always thinking about 70 cents on the dollar to an investor. Well, we can start working on cap rates to landlords and hedge funds, and then we can start working off of just, does it make sense for an owner occupant to come in here and purchase it cash? I'm not going to go into a $250,000 house and be like, oh, this is going to be a cash purchase on, that's not going to happen. But I come over here, when you start getting to a property where you can probably hit it under 60 grand to purchase, you're opening up that market, at least around here, for a cash buyer.
Yeah, well, because especially right now, I think one of our, I can't remember, it might have been Tomas, said he couldn't find financing for anything under $100,000. Yep. So all you have are cash buyers at that point.
So it changed things up quite a bit. So just thoughts.